Monday morning. It is 2:54 a.m. here in the Eastern Time zone of the United States, or as my wife would say, good night, still Sunday night, because it is dark outside. It is Monday, July 10th, 2023. I hope everybody had a great weekend if you're watching this on this Monday. If not, I hope you had a great day yesterday whenever you're watching it. Today we continue in our walk through the book of Genesis, and we are in chapter 30. I titled this one, this message, Jacob's Children Part 2, God over Superstition. So that'll actually play a part in the breakdown and application after I do this. We've seen on Friday the first six children, or first six boys born for to Jacob's wife slash concubines. It's a really messy story. Talked a little bit about some ways that that's been misused by people and still misused today. So I'm going to pick up here in verse 9 of chapter 30, read down to verse 24. This will take us through 11 sons of Jacob, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Reading from the New King James translation, when Leah saw that she had stopped bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her to Jacob as a wife, and Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "A troop comes." So she called his name Gad. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. And Leah said, "I am happy, for the daughters will call me blessed." So she called his name Asher. Now Reuben went in the days of the wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in with me, for I have surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." And he lay with her that night. And God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my wages because I have given my maid to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. Then Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. And Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good endowment, and now my husband will dwell with me, because I have borne him six sons." So she called his name Zebulun. Afterwards she bore a daughter and called her name Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, "God has taken away my reproach." So she called his name Joseph, and said, "The Lord shall add to me another son." All right, so messy and a little weird, and I'll try to break it down because you have to either know a little bit about some of this stuff or go research it, which I went and researched it. But what we see here is that now Leah is barren. She's had four kids, and she can't have kids anymore. Every one of these folks is kind of getting up into age. So she has seen that now that Rachel has basically given a handmaid who's had a couple of sons for Jacob. So she decides, well, I'm going to do that same thing too. Bad decisions, right? All the way around. And her handmaid Zilpah, has two sons, and she names them. The first one Gad, which means troop or group, and the second one Asher, which means happy. So again, the names are going with the emotion or what has been accomplished. Then you get this weird section in here that it says Reuben, who's one of Leah's sons, who's now older, that he was out with the wheat harvesters, and he found some mandrakes in the field. So mandrakes, what are they? It's a herb. It looks kind of like a carrot or a beet. And so you see that he brings these to his mother, and you go, well, what significance does that have? Well, if you do a little research, you find out that uh, mandrakes actually, there was a superstition that mandrakes led to fertility, that they would cause an end to sterility, that they would prompt people to get pregnant, in other words. So two things are happening here. Reuben, who would love his mother and sees that his mother is stressed out because she's barren now, and then here she is giving her maid servant um, to Jacob to have kids. I believe it looks like Reuben was bringing these to his mom because Reuben was trying to help out his mom. But what we see in Rachel is that Rachel still has not figured it out yet. Rachel, it's one thing for a kid to think, hey, these things can make my mom fertile, so I'm going to bring him to her. He's a kid, even if he's a little bit older kid. But for Rachel, who should have learned by now to go to God, she's still trying to do things the human way. So she sees these mandrakes, she sees this opportunity, so she asks Rachel for them. I mean, she asks Leah for them, and then Leah throws this guilt trip on her because Leah knows what she's trying to do. Leah knows she's trying to get pregnant, so she's saying, "Hey, you already took my husband, now you want to take my son's mandrakes too." It seems weird if you don't look up that, and I never had before reading this for this morning's reading. So Rachel says, "Okay, fine. If you'll give me the mandrakes, you can sleep with Jacob tonight," which is kind of a weird thing, but anyway, there's a lot of weirdness in this. So she does. So Rachel gets the mandrakes. She's probably eating them away, trying to be fertile. Leah goes and tells Jacob, "Hey, I just bought you with mandrakes," which had to be a weird thing for Jacob. And then it says God listened to Leah, and she got pregnant. So there's a couple things going on. One, Leah did not eat the mandrakes. Rachel ate the mandrakes. So God's showing that he is the one who can bless with kids, not any kind of superstition or a person or anything else, just God's control. So, and Leah understands, because again, she hasn't eaten the mandrakes, so she doesn't falsely place the the kid or getting pregnant on the mandrakes. Leah keeps going back to God. She says, "God has given me my wages," which is funny that now this first next son, which is the fifth one from her, she names him Isaac, which means wages, which literally would be the wages that she got for what she did, which is weird. And then she conceives again and has another one and names him Zebulun, which means dwell. And remember, in Leah's mind, all she wants is the love and respect and the presence of her husband. She's kind of, if you could call somebody a victim, she's certainly a victim in these circumstances. But she keeps acknowledging God. And then we have this daughter named Dinah, and normally daughters aren't named unless there's something, a part that they're going to play in the future of what's going on, and we are going to see that. I'm not going to give a spoiler alert for that one, but that's why Dinah's name appears to show up here. And then this section here ends with the last three verses I read that says, God remembered Rachel and God listened to her and opened her womb. So finally, it looks like Rachel has figured out, she ate all those mandrakes, and now probably at least a couple years have passed because Leah's gotten pregnant 2 more times. So it appears, if you read between the lines, that Rachel finally has given up everything else. She's reached her bottom and she's gone to God about it. And God is listening to her prayers and granted her prayers. And she finally gets pregnant and has a son. And she names him Joseph, which is going to play a big part in the future of of the Jewish people. And that Joseph means that the Lord shall add. So not only does she appear to go to God, but she names him a godly name, which all shows that now Rachel's heart and head are in the right place. So again, the two biggest things that I grab out of this reading today, besides the mistake that Leah makes about giving her handmaid for a couple of sons, is that God shows both of these ladies that he's in control. That if they go to him, that he is the source of them being able to bear children. And they both, by now, they both realize it really steady. And finally, Rachel realizes it really steady. So the challenge in today's reading comes straight from that. And the challenge for me, for you, the application is this. Is there anything in your life that you just haven't gone to God about? That you've tried to take care of yourself, that you either because you were stubborn and tried to take care of yourself, or you believe the junk that this world gives you with this self-help power of you. Maybe you've been confused about stuff because you've read stuff or listened to stuff like The Secret, and they try to weave a little bit of God in there to make you believe that that's a godly message, and it's absolutely not. Or you've listened to these prosperity preachers who have told you if you just do this or do that, then you're going to get these things. Whatever the situation is, take some time to think about it today. And if there's something that you have been holding on to and trying to do on your own power, or listen to other people only, or whatever. I've had multiple things in my life that I've tried to hold on to. And when I say hold on to, I try to take care of them myself without going to God. For me, it was feeling like it was trivial to ask God for certain things, or that God had probably already given me the ability to take care of it or whatever, but failure pretty much every time I did that. If you can think of that thing today that maybe you're holding on to, you're trying to take care of in human ways, my challenge to you today, and my challenge to me today, is going to be think if there's still anything that I'm trying to do that with. My challenge to you today and my challenge to me today is to think about it, identify it, and go to God about it. Like literally, honestly, just turn it over to him. Now, you may not get your answer immediately. You probably won't get it immediately. But I promise you, if you just make that decision to quit trying to do it yourself and turn it over to God, quit looking for the mandrakes, right? Turn it over to God, that there will be a time when you get an answer that you weren't expecting that will be the solution to your challenge. That I can assure you of. I don't know what it'll look like, but mine is sleeping on the other side of my house right now, still sleeping like somebody who's smart. So I just challenge you that. I challenge. God, thank you for your word. Thank you that if we do a little digging, we see more there than maybe we have seen and reading it dozens of other times. God, thank you for just who you are and what you are. Thank you that you are the creator of everything, that you could speak all this into existence, that you are responsible for us being here. And even though we are foul, even though we are sinful, even though we are born into this world that has fallen, that you love us so much and you know us so deeply, better than we could even know ourselves, and you still love us enough to have given Christ for us. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Everybody have an awesome rest of your Monday. We'll be all going off to the gym in a little over 2 hours and seeing everybody. I think Arlen's instructor today. We'll see all of our friends there. Anybody who is our friend that may watch this and shows up, we'll see you there. I hope you got something out of this. I hope I did this word justice. And everybody have a blessed and awesome day. We'll see you back here first